Hello, hello. This is Lupine Fiasco coming at you with another Talshar gameplay video. We will be playing FaB, Rising Rebellion, as always, playing against Briar, the Warden of Thorns. Standard Runeblade sideboard here. The only thing we're doing is cutting 2 Rise from the Ashes, putting into Command and Conquer. CMC, not great in this matchup, generally. Hitting Briar's Arsenal slot can be good, but is not backbreaking. As you can see, standard loadout for Briar is Crown of Providence, but that is still fine. We don't want to hamstring ourselves on a Warmonger's Diplomacy turn because getting Rise stuck in our hand can be a problem. Opening with 3 Salt the Wounds in hand. We lost the die roll, so we are going first, unfortunately. This is a weird bit of variance here, but ultimately a playable hand. Push a little damage. Briar decides to take some hits. We'll see if we are going to get cards from them, and we are. Arsenal a Salt the Wound and pass. You'll see a weird graphic bug I was getting on Talishar today. It's trying to fix it, so apologies for the technical difficulties. Weird hand here. We have a finisher in the arsenal, 2 finishers in the hand. So we're just going to take some damage. We aren't opposed to blocking with finishers here. We just want to see where the Briar's going with this. Blocking Scar is not the worst. Here we see that Briar is going to arsenal something at the end of this turn. So we have options here. We could block with Lava Burst and Command and Conquer, just a 6. Send Kadachi Rising Salt the Wound on our turn. We could take 6 damage, lose Salt the Wound, set up something like Rising Resentment, Kadachi, Command and Conquer, Arsenal Lava Burst. We could set up, that's really the only thing we'd want to do. We could block with Command and Conquer, mitigate some life loss, but ultimately what we would do here, what I think now in this position I would do, is to take this 6, lose the Salt the Wound, set up Rising, Lava Vein Loyalty, Command and Conquer, and Arsenal the Lava Burst. It's a weird line. We're in a weird situation. I'm not really looking to snap here, and I don't see how we could get value out of it unless we wanted to really do a convoluted line here to not produce much value. So take the 6, lose the Salt, Rising, Lava Vein, Command and Conquer. Which I believe is what the line that I took, and we'll actually talk about this once we get past this back into our turn. We have the option to block with armor, but we do want to try to save that for something like a Snatch. Snatch for 7 lets us block with Furnace, one of our other pieces of equipment, and a 3 block. So we do choose to take the 6, lose our Salt the Wound. Briar puts a card in Arsenal, which is what we would expect. So something interesting here. A line that I want to discuss based on a video I put out recently, our Lexi game, talking about threatening masculine momentum. You really want to do large, small, large as far as your 3 lanes, which would lead us to block with something like Rising Resentment, or to attack with Rising Resentment, Kadachi, Command and Conquer, if we did want to threaten a mask trigger. What's interesting here is based on our hand, we can't play, even if we use Snapdragon Scalers, we can't play everything. We can't Rising Resentment, Kadachi, Lava Burst with Rupture, Command and Conquer. We're 1 resource short. and even if we were going to do something weird like pick our Phoenix Flame out of Arsenal and pitch that, it doesn't work because we cannot play 4 cards on 3 resources. We can't double Kodachi Command and Conquer. So what we're going to do is not attack large, small, large. We are going to bait the Briar into blocking. And I believe that is the line I took. But what that means is instead of going 1-3-6, we go, or 3-1-6, we go 1-3-6. What we want here is the Briar to smell blood in the water. They take the first Kodachi, they block the 3 with anything in their deck. 3 block attack, a non-attack action that is being buffed by the embodiment of Earth, and then we hit them with Command and Conquer. So we get a block from the Briar, and then we play Command and Conquer. This does get their crown, which is a shame. They keep a 4-card hand, they only take 4 damage, but they lose their crown. We also see that they do block from hand, so we get a card from them. It puts them down to 3, which is something Briar's capable playing on, but that's fine. They play a Channel Mount Heroic and they pass. This is a pretty standard line here. We aren't trying to get too tricky with this hand. Brand and blue is 4 chain links. Blaze is 5. Lava Burst is 6. Mounting is 7. Phoenix Flame is 8. This will be a big turn from us, but we aren't pushing a huge amount of damage here. Or we are pushing a huge amount of damage, not an Art of War amount of damage. We can also anticipate that Briar is not going to be super excited about blocking. We might get card plus grass. Maybe we get 1 card out of them, maybe 2, but probably not. We have to expect that they want to set something big up. So here we're attacking Brand, Kodachi, Mounting Anger, Kodachi, Phoenix Flame, Blaze. We can throw a Lava Burst at the end of this, but Briar is just full non-block mode. And because they're non-block mode, we are going to get greedy here. So we can play the Snatch, use the Snapdragon Scalers. Based on the amount of gas we are drawing and Briar with a Channel Mount Heroic, we can assume that this game will not go for much longer. We draw a Warmonger's Diplomacy, which is an interesting card in Briar. Briar is probably the Runeblade who is least affected by Diplomacy. If in set, it stops her ability to make rune champs and then attack with Runegate cards. Viserai stops his ability to take a turn without the ability to turn on Shrill, without the ability to activate Thorn. But for Briar, it stops Thorn maybe. The biggest thing it does to Briar is stop her embodiment of lightning. But because she has a Channel Mount Heroic out, we're interested in that. We want to delay her power turn. So all of this is to say, we're not looking to end with a Lava Burst. We are looking to end with a Diplomacy and just hope that we are catching Briar with 2 non-attacks in hand that she would have wanted to use to get go again. So we're losing out on 5 points of damage by not Lava Bursting here, but we keep the Lava Burst. So we play Diplomacy, we will be choosing War, our Briar chooses War, and we are just hoping that we catch them in a bad spot. As it is, them not leading with Force of Nature is great news because we would just lose the game. Scar into Exude Confidence. We maybe would have wanted to block with Furnace here to mitigate some damage, but as it is, our Briar is just pitching for the Exude, which means this Tome of Harvest, excuse me, not being able to play this round on me is, first of all, great news for us. Second, depending on what this card is in Arsenal, this non-attack action plus this round on me would have been the Embodiment of Lightning, plus 2 floating resources for Thorn, for Command and Conquer if they had it or drew it. The Warmongers was extremely good for us here. We'll see this Exude Confidence hit for 11, the Scar hit for 18, but we stuck Briar with 2 blues that she had. She turned 2 cards into 4 damage. That's a terrible rate for Briar. So here we are looking to potentially do the same thing. We have a Diplomacy. We're also at 12 life. So we aren't, and they have Snapdragon Scalers. So we aren't as excited about attacking with our Diplomacy here, or using our Diplomacy here. We find ourselves with no red starter for a Blaze Headlong. So we'll be taking a line to turn this Soulbeat Strike or this Diplomacy into a Phoenix Flame. May even rewind this turn, ask to undo to pick up the Phoenix Flame at the end of our opponent's turn. I don't think it's going to matter. It does limit our ability to play a Phoenix Flame, break the chain, potentially buy back the Phoenix Flame based on drawing a Draconic Starter off of our Mask of Momentum, but we still find ourselves stuck with double finishers. So it's going to be kind of an awkward turn, but we see Briar doesn't have Crown anymore. This CNC hitting Arsenal is relevant. But as it is, Phoenix Flame for 0, Kodachi, Blaze Headlong, Lava Burst for 6 is going to be the line here. We could Kodachi, Blaze Headlong, Command and Conquer, but why? We want to end our mask. We want to present our 4-power mask trigger with Go Again if possible. For all we know, we draw. We could draw a lot of things that just pitch for Command and Conquer, but we have a Lava Burst that hits for 6. We're not going to work Command and Conquer in here. We send our Kodachi, we'll send our Blaze Headlong, which gets at least 1 card from Briar if they choose to block. It might get a 3-block non-attack action that gets pumped up to 4. It might get a 3-block plus Grasp. They may just take the damage altogether, but we do get 2 cards from the Briar. Send our Lava Burst for 6, push some damage, and Arsenal Command and Conquer. Yikes. Never like to draw Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame plus Flame Call Awakening is a great combination of cards, but drawing the Phoenix Flame always feels bad. Ravenous Rabble hitting for 2 instead of 4 is great news. Here we find ourselves in an interesting position in that our hand sucks. So we could take 6, go to 4, lose our Command and Conquer. It has put us in a weird spot with Rosetta Thorn. We don't want to go. We want to keep our life total healthy. Putting us to 4 puts us dead to 2 triggered Rosetta Thorns. So it isn't something we're terribly excited about doing. If we keep this hand, we are looking at 3, 3, 1, 2, 5. That's good, but Briar has 1 point of armor. They'll have embodiment. They'll have 4 cards in hand. This puts them to 7. This puts them to 4. This puts them to 3. Phoenix Flame puts them to 1. But then this Lava Burst just gets blocked. We're at 4. Briar gets to keep 3 cards and kills us. So what we want to do is disrupt the arsenal, which means we want to play this Command and Conquer, which means we want to keep cards in hand because we're going to need to pitch to Furnace. So that all being said, with our Briar at 10, triggering Mask of Momentum no longer seems likely to happen because doing that much on-hit damage would just kill Briar. Keeping this Shuko has potential value. If the game goes long enough, we'll get more than 2 points of block value. And looking at our hand, if we were going to play everything out, we would be able to get Shuko value here. But as it is, we're fine to block with Shuko and Mask of Momentum here, get our 4 points of block, and block with Furnace, protect our Command and Conquer, which we actively want to play, and still have our own Furnace to trigger. So we would be looking at something like play Brand with Cinderclaw, pitch Lava Burst to Kodachi, trigger Flamescale Furnace to pick up a Phoenix Flame, Rising Resentment, play our Phoenix Flame, still with 2 resources floating, play Command and Conquer, which is the line we're going to take. We will give all of our equipment, except for the back half of our Furnace, to this Command and Conquer to block 6, so that our turn will look like 3, 1, 3, 6 with an on hit. Not only are we threatening more damage up front, ignoring that we would not get a potential mask trigger, we're putting our opponent low enough where they need to respect our Command and Conquer, and low enough that they need to respect it with a full block, or else they lose their arsenal. You can see me doing the mental math here, trying to decide, is it worth it to give all of my equipment to this Command and Conquer? Because remember, looking at our 4 cards in hand, this is a fine turn. We get to threaten 14 points of damage with a Mask of Momentum trigger. But 14 points of damage plus a mask trigger is not enough to take our opponent off of what would be 4 cards. Using our line of making them block Command and Conquer puts them to 3 and keeps our life total healthy. Even with a Snapdragon Scalers, Briar being able to do 10 points of damage with 3 cards in hand is low. We would have 1 point of armor remaining on our Flamescale Furnace, and Briar is low enough that if they're at 3 because they took 7 points of damage before blocking Command and Conquer, we can absolutely do that with a 3-card hand. So we attack with our Kodachi. We now have 3 Draconic Links on the chain. We can pick up our Phoenix Flame. We can play the Phoenix Flame. Do a little sneaky damage first. Now we pitch our Lava Burst. Play Command and Conquer. So this Command and Conquer hitting puts them to 2. It also leaves Briar with 2 cards in hand, which is not good for Briar, right? We have 4 cards. Briar's Embodiment breaks. She gets Snatch. There is we have a blue, we have an Art of War, we have a Brand, and a Roman Renegade. This is an incredible hand. There is a world where Briar Snatch hits. They give it a go again. They draw poop, and they cannot push 6 points of damage to win the game. That is such long odds when all we need to do is block with Furnace, block with Lava Vein Loyalty. We get our full block. They have to snap. This 1 card will absolutely not do 10 points of damage. It leaves us with Brand and Ronin Renegade, both of which are lethal damage and need to be blocked by Briar. We can then also pitch Art of War to pick up a Phoenix Flame for 1 point of damage and Kodachi for a 2nd point of damage. We would put our Briar opponent to 1 and get 2 cards and this Grasp out of their hand while staying at 10 life. So we do want to block this Snatch, unfortunately. The chance of them snapping into something like a Scarf or a Scar and then having something else that requires our attention to block is just too high. The way we lose this game from this position is by getting cocky. we strip their hand too easily with what we have here, and we preserve our life total. And if Briar wants to snap here and play something like a Scar for a Scar, or a Ravenous Rabble, or a Snatch would be problematic, but if they want to put us to 6 and not have an arsenal, that's fine too. And we see just, this is fine. This is absolutely perfect. There was a blue in hand. Anything the Briar had drawn there, maybe a Command and Conquer, would have been very bad for us. But now, Briar has 4 cards, no arsenal. We are going to take them off of at least 2 of those cards. Briar has no embodiment, so she has to draw 3 blocks to not leak damage here, or give us 2 2-blocks. So we do get a 3-block. Do they have a second 3-block for this brand, or are we going to leak 1 point of damage over? She doesn't. So we get the Grasp. We pitch Art of War to pick up our Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame for 1, Kadachi for 1, puts Briar at 1, and gets a card from hand. So she does give us the Tunic. That is my mistake for forgetting that. We put her to 1, leave Briar with 2 cards in hand. Lightning Surge for 7. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right hand here. We can block with an Enlightened Strike, take 4, go down to 3. This brand with Cinderclaw is Kadachi. Enlightened Strike for 7. Does potentially get blocked. It is potential that with Briar's Embodiment of Earth, she has a 3-block and a 4-block, but again, we're stripping cards from hand. So we block for 3, take 4, go down to 3. Our crackback is going to be 1/1/7. If Briar does not have a 4-block in hand, she dies. If she draws a non-block, a Gorganian Tome, she dies. Kadachi for 1 gets a 3-block. Love to see it. Kadachi for 1 gets a 3-block. Moment of Truth. We send our Lightning Strike for 7 and decide. So, interesting. I do want to discuss this decision. I remember now, considering this in the moment. Enlightened Strike for 7 probably wins the game. There is a small chance that Briar has a 4-block in hand and a 3-block and is able to live at 1 life and die the next turn. What Enlightened Strike for 5 draw a card does is still gets 2 cards from Briar's hand, right? Because there's nothing in her deck that can block, no 1 card that can block 5. Defense reactions don't benefit from Embodiment of Earth. There is no non-defense reaction that blocks 4. So Enlightened Strike for 5 gets 2 cards from Briar's hand. She probably lives. A 3-block and a 2-block keep her alive. But now we have a 5-card hand to kill her with because we stripped the hand. So Enlightened Strike for 7 probably wins the game. Enlightened Strike for 5 strips the hand and gives us a 5-card hand to kill Briar on our next turn. But that is a decent example of the power of Warmonger's Recital, or Warmonger's Diplomacy, absolutely denying Briar a good Channel Now Heroic turn. 18 points of damage off of a 4-card hand is still incredible value for Briar, but compared to what she could have done, we saw a "this round's on me" that would have really hampered our ability to push our game plan, and given Briar a card to potentially get an Embodiment of Lightning and give her floating resources, letting Thorn attack for full value. diplomacy was crucial there, and choosing to play it instead of our Lava Burst was, I think, a really good decision, followed up by Command and Conquer threatening Briar's arsenal rather than taking her Command and Conquer, going to 4 very low life total, and maybe threatening a mask, but probably not doing it.